There we go. Gallery view. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Let me spotlight Delani. All right. If everybody can mute themselves now, Delani, give it about 5 seconds and then go ahead.
Okay. Okay. When imagine dealing with inflation, it is an excess demand for goods and services outstripping supply, rising production and material costs, and expanding money supply. Which means if wages do not rise at the same pace as inflation, then people's actual standard of living drops almost every single day. The reason why I chose this topic is because it affects everyone, no matter if you're high class, middle class, or lower class. As the prices rise, money decreases, which is why I will be talking about what inflation is and what causes it. In the second point, I will go over the effects of inflation. And finally, I'll tell you about higher interest rates and the economic uncertainty. Most people think that inflation only affects the prices of items, and but inflation is actually in the general increase in prices for goods and services over time, which reduces your purchasing power. When inflation happens, it is mainly because of demand pull, cost pull, or built in. According to congress.gov in their website titled Introduction to US Economy Inflation, it explains that demand pull is where high consumers demand outpaces supply. Cost push is where increased production costs are passed on to consumers, and built in is a wage price where rising prices lead to demands for higher wages, which then drives prices up more. Inflation is something that causes all living to cost more of just one item rising price. It affects living situations, food, water, and lightning, like service lighting. Inflation is a complex economic phenomenon characterized by a general rise in prices, which is driven by factors such as production costs or wage price. According to Alan Brook in their article titled Modeling Inflation, it explains that inflation means if prices go up by 5%, your $100 only buy what $95 bought previously. So it goes down or it goes up. Now that I've covered what inflation is and how it works, I will now be going over the effects. When inflation is in effect, it reduces purchasing power by causing money to buy less over time, forcing consumers to spend more for the same goods and services and ripple through personal finances and other things in several distinct ways. When inflation is in effect, it causes people to work harder while make while not making enough money for living, forcing consumers to spend more for the same goods they've been purchasing for almost their entire lives. According to Wealth Management, in their article titled How Inflation Affects Investments, it explains this erodes savings as interest earned often fails to outpace rising prices, which then leads to people cutting back on spending or going for cheaper alternates to afford different items, which means basically like people not being able to go out to spend money on food or go to amusement parks because they don't have enough money. Another thing that is being affected is businesses and corporate impacts that either crash down and go out of business or just stop being popular because of how expensive each item becomes. Another example of inflation is when people make music, they face a high cost for materials and other stuff just for recording, which makes them lose money rather than gaining more money. In this article called How Does Inflation Affect Savings? It explains that when you save money, your account balance increases and the savings rate tends to drop because there is less disposable income left over, which would be put into your savings account. After covering the effects of inflation and what inflation is, I will finally go over the persistent rise of inflation. Inflation's relentless upward trend not only erodes the purchasing power of currency, but also forces households and businesses to implant significant financial adjustments to cope with escalation costs and economic unpredictability. Borrowers with a fixed rate debt often benefit because the real value of money they owe decreases over time. So they don't have to. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Mm.
You broke up for.
Okay, I'm gonna just continue where I stopped. When prices rise faster than your pay, it puts pressure on household budgets, driving employees to seek raises and forcing companies to rethink their strategies. Which means that when the cost of living jumps, workers demand higher pay, then businesses rise the prices for their goods and services, leading to more inflation because they're trying to pay their workers that want more money, which causes a wage price spiral. In this speech, I told you about inflation, what it is, what it affects, and how it could impact different things and people no matter where they're at price range. Inflation is a serious topic to go about because many people are struggling to live their lives and having to go to work harder just to afford groceries and everyday living items. When you look back on how inflation affected people back then and now, there is a huge difference because of the price ranges. Okay, I'm done.
Great job. That was really
That
good.
Woo!
that was good.
Yeah, that was
Good
really good.
Thank you.
job.
Thank you.
You should have
You did
gone
really
after me.
good.
We would have been more. Our topics are similar. We could have bounced off each other. Anyways,
Huh.
okay. So, Gurleen, you ready to go?
Yeah. Are you guys ready to wait? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You're good. You get
Okay,
it.
hold on. Let me do the gallery view. Okay, let me see. Move that.